Of the top 10 mobile games of 2022. And then at the end, I added a section with my 3 most embarrassing predictions of this year. The first game on the list is Apex Legends, but honestly, it barely won. The top 4 games of this list were all very close. Now, I originally put this game at the top of my first top 10 video, and I am very proud of that prediction in light that it did so well. But it is not doing as well as the rumors imply. Some of you might have seen that it got 5 million downloads on the first day. This was fake. If you look at public records, you will see that the game was created over a year before it was released. Lots of games do this, and it's not a problem. Diablo Immortal was created way back in 2020. The difference though is that during this time, EA used some kind of download generation technique to get the app to 1 million downloads by October of 2021, 6 months before it was released. So we're not sure how many downloads it had when it was released on May 17th, but it's very possible that it already had over 4 million. A better metric for how well it did is that it grossed 4.8 million on its first week, which is very good. This is a ton more than the 600,000 made by PUBG Mobile, but much less than the 14.8 million made by Call of Duty Mobile in their first weeks. So it did very well, which is why it's at the top, but it did not win in a landslide like Call of Duty Mobile did in 2019. I predicted this might happen because it is a battle royale shooter computer game port, and for the last 4 years of mobile gaming, battle royale shooter computer game ports have been at the top 3 favorites for serious mobile gamers. As I've mentioned in other videos, I believe the reason for this is because computer game ports are often viewed as a safe option for serious gamers, because unique mobile games often carry with them the bad reputation of mobile gaming. This of course doesn't mean that all unique mobile games are bad, but it does mean that a lot of serious gamers are wary of trying them out until they've been tested out by others. And then the battle royale style fits really well with a mobile phone because you're only committing to 20 to 30 minutes at a time. So that is why we originally predicted that Apex Legends was going to be the #1 competitive mobile game for 2022, and honestly, I think we nailed it on this one. The second game on the list is Undecember. This game did not gross nearly as much as Apex Legends, and even a smaller percentage of its main competitor Diablo Immortal, which is lower down on this list, but it captured the hearts of serious mobile gamers with the best action RPG the mobile platform has ever seen. Personally, I'm not a big fan of action RPGs, but the devs of Undecember blew me away with their propensity towards excellence in every facet of their game. The graphics are unbelievable, and yet there is little to no lag. The game is easy to understand, as most action RPGs are, but the skill system can get unbelievably complex as you dive into the vast possibilities of skill customization, in which you are able to use basic building blocks to create your own unique character. Unfortunately, this is where the devs added some significant pay-to-win aspects to their game, but considering it is so much less than their main competitor Diablo Immortal, I didn't strike this one against them as much as I normally would. Interestingly enough, the devs set it up to where when you wear armor in the game, you can see it. This is a big deal because it allows you to feel your progression throughout the game, and it is somewhat unique because most mobile games do not do this to give extra motivation for players to buy or earn skin. And while these skins do a great job of allowing players to express their uniqueness, an armor-based sense of progression has been an unfortunate casualty. But Undecember is bringing it back, and I think it will remind players of how much they miss it in other games. The game also allows you to change classes freely, so it is worth collecting weapons of another class that you want to try. So overall, this game did not get as many downloads or gross as much as some of the other games on this list, but that is mostly because it is not from a big developer. Their excellence in every aspect of their game impressed the serious mobile gaming community, and that is why it is so high on this list. The third game is Catalyst Black. Before this game even came out, the devs had me so excited about it. The company working on it, Super Evil Megacorp, is the creator of Vainglory, which was a very successful MOBA on the phone with tens of millions of downloads. Catalyst Black is their new and exciting endeavor to create essentially a new type of game. They are calling it a team-based 10v10 drop-in, drop-out out large-scale shooter, and what that really means is that it's a MOBA map with your typical monsters and PvP choke points, but the maps are not set up for this long process of farming minions to get to level 18 before everyone else, and then this epic showdown at the end. Rather, they're designed to get straight into that epic showdown pretty much from the beginning. And while that does take away from some of the build-up, which makes MOBAs so exciting, it does get you into the action sooner, and the maps they set up are a lot of fun with multiple ways that teams can win, forcing a team to work together and balance what they're allowing the other team to get away with. Unfortunately, the devs set it up to where you can get a significant advantage by buying progress. But I found that because the matchmaking system was pretty good, I was able to still enjoy progressing as a free-to-play player and could see that by continuing to play, I would have caught up with the people spending money, so that over time they would no longer have an advantage by spending money. So while it's not my favorite monetization system, it really didn't seem to affect the game for free-to-play players in the end. The fourth game on the list is Tower of Fantasy. On one hand, we expected this game to do well, putting it on our list of the top 10 MMOs of 2022, because it has amazing graphics and combat mechanics with a similar feel to Genshin Impact. And then on top of that, they had an ambitious goal of making it an MMO. When the game first came out, the servers were so packed that people couldn't even get in. But as we predicted in that video, putting this detail of graphics in an MMO bogged down the CPU of people's phones, causing the game to lag out. And of course, beautiful graphics and animations are not so beautiful when coupled with lag. We predicted in that video that this would result in a lot of negative reviews, which it did, and it hurt the game's success a lot. However, those graphics were bogged down a lot less on tablets, and the game was able to win Google's award for the best tablet game of the year. Originally, people gave the game flack for being a copycat of Genshin Impact, but it is noteworthy that the game has a slightly more realistic art style, kind of a halfway point between Genshin and your more typical MMO. And then lastly, Tower of Fantasy has a more modern theme with guns and lasers, so it is different enough to be its own thing, but similar enough that it was very attractive to competitive mobile gamers. The fifth game on the list is Diablo Immortal. Now, before you rage quit this video, I understand that the game is super pay to win because legendary gems are only available to paying players. And I am aware that in order to max out your character, you would need to spend $110,000. It is ridiculous, and I, like many of you, think Blizzard should be embarrassed by their monetization system. However, the same serious gamers that are railing about this are continuing to play it. The game grossed 11 million in the first week, and the downloads exploded. And while some of those are casual gamers, serious gamers are continuing on for one main reason. Diablo Immortal is first a PvE game based on a sense of progression, and second, a PvP game based on skill and competition. PvP does become very important as you become advanced, which caused me to predict that there would be a high drop-off rate among serious gamers, which did end up happening, and that is why the game is only 5th on this list, even though it made more than any other game on this list. I credit a lot of the financial success of this game to casual gamers and the name brand of the franchise, but I couldn't take it off this list because it continues getting lots of coverage and playtime among serious gamers. Part of this is because the PvE progression part of the game is very well done and still a lot of fun even for free-to-play players. The sixth game on the list is Stumble Guys. This game is said by many to be a straight copy and paste of the PC game Fall Guys, but the games actually came out around the same time. And while the devs of Fall Guys are excited about their amazing accomplishment of selling 7 million copies, Stumble Guys already has over 100 million downloads. And while this game is more simple than most games I cover, it is still competitive. You start out getting matched with 31 other people, and your goal is to be the last one left. And while this might not be quite as satisfying as bringing home a chicken dinner, you can do it 4 to 6 times in the time it would take you to play one PUBG game. Honestly, when I started doing research on this game, I was a little embarrassed with how quickly I got addicted to it. And ironically, the monetization system on the game is better than most of the games on this list, so I legitimately recommend checking out this game. The 7th game on the list is Lost Light. This game is a mobile form of Escape from Tarkov, and it is fantastically done. The graphics are crisp, the maps are dynamic and fun to get to know, the gameplay is exhilarating, and and the controls are the best of what mobile gaming has to offer. When I first played this game in its early beta, I started to play so much that I struggled to find time to make videos. One of the things that I think Lost Light does really well is balance the amount of real players with enemies on the map, allowing a player to truly master a map while also keeping it fresh each time. Also, Lost Light adds a lot of realistic elements true to other survival games, like breaking a leg if you jump off a cliff or if someone shoots you there. I will warn you that the game is extremely frustrating because it is extremely difficult to succeed if you don't bring equipment into the map with you. But if you do and you die, you lose everything. Unless you buy insurance, but you get the point. The game will really make you want to pull your hair out, but it's part of why it's so addicting. They also had a bunch of other cool aspects of the game, like teaming up with the guy you just downed and finding new ways of escaping the zone. They just did a really good job with this game, and it is truly a gem of 2022. The 8th game on the list is Rocket League Sideswipe. For the same reason Rocket League exploded 7 years ago, this game did amazing this year. Psyonix has always prioritized the sport of their game above everything else, and it shows up in everything they do. Smooth gameplay with minimal to no lag, fairness integrated throughout the maps and power-ups, and one of the least aggressive monetization systems found in all mobile gaming. Even though Psyonix hired a different dev team to make this mobile version of their game, they clearly oversaw that it would match the original game in quality. Sadly, the game is a little bit more simple than I had hoped, and definitely feels more casual in the way that it looks while playing versus the PC and console versions, but it is still very high quality, and it has already become very popular. The 9th game on the list is Marvel Snap. This is a card battling game which you don't normally see on these lists, but these guys have done a really good job with this game. They have at least one card for pretty much every Marvel superhero you could imagine, coupled with great special effects. But in my opinion, the main reason that sets this card battler apart from the others is how fast-paced it is, allowing you to play a game in sometimes just 3 minutes. This is a big deal because sometimes the most boring thing about a card battler is when you're waiting too long for the other person to think about what they want to do. The second biggest thing that sets this game apart is that each game you play has different modifiers, so even if you are using the same deck, it feels like a different game each time because the map has different rules. In addition to that, the game is free-to-play friendly, allowing you to easily unlock cards by just playing the game. And then on top of all that, the devs have done a good job of keeping cards balanced, making it to where there are several different combinations that are effective even in the highest ranks. The final game on this list is Pokemon Unite. It might seem strange to see this game, which got Google's Game of the Year award in 2021, so low on this list, but the hype for this game died very quickly to the point that it was rarely talked about early on this year. Nevertheless, in those short few months of hype, Pokemon Unite got over 50 million downloads and won that award. And it got third on Google's Best Competitive Games, which is in my opinion an even better award. The reason Pokemon Unite did so well was because the developers kept their focus on what was important. The game keeps the classic competitive feel of League of Legends, but translates everything into the world of Pokemon. This gives the genre a refreshing twist, but they were able to capitalize on the deep lore that Pokemon has developed over the last 27 years. So while it died in hype quickly, it was a great addition for this year. Okay, so those are the top 10 mobile games of 2022. And honestly, I feel pretty amazing about our predictions this year. Looking back and reading some of the predictions we made about games like Tower of Fantasy blew me away, because I was like, that's exactly what I said would happen. And that feels really good. I hope the video we release in 2 weeks for 2023 will have just as good predictions for this next year. That being said, some of my predictions were not so great. So before we end, I wanted to mention the top 3 most embarrassing predictions I made this year. The first and most embarrassing prediction was putting Frostborn in the top 10 last January. As many of you know, I have a soft spot for Frostborn, as I am convinced it is one of the best mobile games in the world. But I'm also aware that its developer, Kefir, has a very aggressive monetization philosophy. More importantly, the developers want to keep the game extremely unique, and while this is one of the very reasons I love the game so much, it is also why I'm realizing it will never take off like I want it to. Developers are simply never going to add the types of events that will keep most gamers playing all day, 7 days a week, which means it will never hit the top. I should have known that last year, but the updates were looking so good, and I let myself be too optimistic. The second most embarrassing prediction was Star Wars Hunters. I have no clue what what I was thinking when I put this game close to the top of some of my lists. This game had a lot of hype early on this year, which I think I got caught up in that hype. It is a unique mobile game that was designed to be legitimately competitive, which both of those are big deals to this channel. So the game definitely should have been on some of my lists, at least somewhere, but I'm embarrassed I put it so high on all of my lists, considering it was pretty low budget. I guess I got caught up with the excitement that a competitive, unique mobile game was getting hyped before it even came out. Regardless, I'll be more careful in the future. The third and last embarrassing prediction was Once Human, formerly known as Project EOE. However, in this case, I'm not embarrassed by our prediction, but rather by the devs' decision to pull from the mobile platform and go PC only. I'm honestly blown away by this decision, considering that the game is made by NetEase, and still hope that it will be returning to the mobile platform before its global release. Right now they're doing a lot of beta testing, so perhaps it's best to just pick one platform for that process. I can't imagine NetEase allowing the game to not be released on mobile, considering it is the biggest gaming platform and they happen to be one of the biggest forerunners on the platform. As far as the game itself, if they do decide to bring it back to the mobile platform, then I still stand by it being one of the top games. Played it in the second beta on my phone, and the graphics were stunning with a fantastic theme, all of which were well backed up by the storyline. This theme is infused in every part of the game, like your need to manage sanity levels, which makes the sense of survival feel new and fresh. And they created an incredibly addicting and intricate sense of progression as you upgrade your technology, survival skills, and powers. The game feels like a perfect blend of Life After and Rust, and I already can't wait until I get to play it again. Well, that's it guys, hope that helps. In just 2 weeks, on January 1st, we will be releasing our top 10 mobile games of 2023. We've been putting so much work in that list, researching hundreds of games that are going to come out next year. If that interests you, make sure to subscribe to get that notification. All right, guys, see you next time.